Hello and welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. I am Doc, and I want to ask you a question, white men. When the fuck you gonna stop all these mass shootings, man? What the fuck are you so angry about? Do you realize that everybody gets hungry? Everybody has bills. Everybody gets sick. It's not exclusive to white people. You have privileges that you don't even pay attention to. You have privileges like being given the benefit of the doubt, unless you are scraggly, super tattooed, and you look a certain way, you get the benefit of the doubt. You clean cut, you got a resume, there's a room full of you and any other nationality, you feel that you have the advantage. Do not lie. It is the God's honest truth. But the mass shootings, because you're angry, you're incel, because you feel like you can't get a woman, that is nonsense. There are more women out there that are looking for men than anything. The easiest thing to obtain in this planet is a mate. If you're gay or if you're straight, they are out there. Why the fuck are you so angry? Why, above all other nationalities, are you the angriest? When I was growing up, we used to think of white boys as soft, but that was a mistake because we didn't really think about what was going on in Brooklyn. Certain parts of Brooklyn, black guys couldn't go to because they were being chased out by white guys. So that should have let us know that you had a degree of crazy in you. Anybody who gets in a ship who thinks the earth is flat and travels all over the world to strange places and don't know what they're going to encounter has a degree of adventure. They do not lack courage. So why are you being so cowardly? Why are you picking off people who cannot defend themselves? I mean, you shot up schools with little children. You shot up Jewish centers. You shot up churches. You just shot up a supermarket. You shoot up discos. I mean, what the fuck, man? I know there's been other nationalities. I know Asians guy did Virginia Tech. I know there's Malvo and Muhammad. We know about this. This is common. But why are you the most common of this uncommon act? Why you, out of everybody on the planet, are doing it the most? Now, and I am talking stranger danger here. Okay, so we're going to take out the gangbanging bullshit or drive-by. These are people who basically know each other. And if you know anything about murder, normally people who murder each other know each other at least in passing. It's not so much strangers. These are just indiscriminate people who could be anybody. They could even be your own race. They could be your own people, and you're plucking them off. It's not like it's racist. I'm not saying that these are all racially motivated. Some are, and that's a fact. Some definitely are. But you're just out there plucking, and we need to stop you. We need to get a grip on why are you so violent, and why do people in this country, why does the media, why does the print, why does the news make excuses for your behavior? Why do they always come up with a reason that you're suffering from something that nobody else is suffering from? There are millions of people who are suffering from everything any mass shooter is suffering from. They are not exclusive. They are not one of a kind. There are people suffering from PTSD, bad homes, sexual molestation, but they don't go out and do this. So we've got to come to grip as a country, as a society, and you as a people to shame young white men away from doing these acts because enough is enough, man. So, as I mentioned, this Ahmad Alasana, he does this border shooting. 10 people he shoots dead at King Spooder's grocery store. They're just going about their business, man. Going about their lives, not bothering anybody per se. Definitely not deserving to leave home to pick up cereal for their kids and to be gunned down by a lunatic. And I know Hamad, you saying he's Syrian or whatever the hell he is, but you know he's probably listed as Caucasian. on the books, he's probably listed as Caucasian. He's definitely not listed as Asian. He's not listed as Hispanic, and he's not listed as Black. So that makes him basically, in the eyes of the world, another white man, minus his religious affiliation, who's committed this offense. So we lost some people, and I want to say a quick rest in peace to these people, and then I'll move on. Jessica Walters. She's an actress, very long career, 6 decade career. She was on Arrested Development and The Cartoon Archer, among a million shows when I was growing up. She passed away. She was 80. Richard Gillian, he died at the age of 71. He was a character actor that was on many shows, including Designing Women. Now, I also want to say rest in peace to all those mass shooting victims. And the Grand Canyon University forward Oscar Freire. He died in a car accident at the age of 23, like 3 or 4 days after appearing in the NCAA tournament. Craig Mumps Grant died at the age of 53. Most people know him as Poet from the great series Oz. He was a phenomenal, iconic character on that show. He meant a lot to that show. He's a good poet. He was a very young man. I wish him nothing but rest in peace. Howard Schellenberger, 87, passed away. He was the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, better known as the U. Before he was there, Miami Hurricanes was nothing. Nobody thought of them. They wasn't on the radar. He made them a national prominence. He helped put that swagger that still exists in the U into that school, and they won a national championship in 1983. So he is the OG of that whole Miami thing. Him, Miami Sound Machine, Uncle Luke, they built, and Miami Vice, the TV show Miami Vice, they helped build the mystique around the U and around that whole area where at the time it was thought of as a place that old people went to die. Elgin Baylor, legendary Hall of Famer, 11-time All-Star, played 14 seasons for the Los Angeles Lakers. He passed away at the age of 86 years old. He never got to win a championship with the Lakers. I believe they won the championship the year he retired, but he is an all-time great NBA player. And George Siegel died at the age of 87. George Segal was in one of my favorite movies, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. He had a very long career. He also was, I believe, the show called The Goldbergs that's recently been on the air. So I wish him a rest in peace. Now, COVID-19 cases up to 31,547,000 people have died. 144 million people have now been at least one shot vaccinated. I have not received my vaccination yet. I do not have an appointment, so I'm not among that number. When I am, I will explain to you in thorough form everything that I went through mentally, physically, and emotionally. Worldwide, we have 123 million cases and 2.7 million people have died to this dreaded virus. They are stating that within the next week or so, everybody over the age of 16 will be eligible to get a vaccine. I have not, like I said, been put on a list. It seems like we still don't have the supplies to meet the demand, but I'm not an anti vaxxer, so I will be getting my shot. And shame on you, Georgia, with your new election laws. Your new election laws are going to restrict voters. Think about this. Georgia closed polls in minority neighborhoods, which means that these people now have to travel to other areas. But now it's a crime to bring these people food, water while they're online. They're going to request ID requirements for absentee balloting. They're going to limit drop boxes. This is a bad situation, and something has to be done about this to straighten it out. We're going to have the opening statements today in Minnesota in the Derek Chauvin murder trial versus George Floyd. So Minnesota v. Derek Chauvin starts today, March 29, 2021. The eyes of the world are on you, Minnesota. We will be watching this case thoroughly. We will cross every I and dot every I and cross every T as far as scrutinizing what comes out of there, what kind of information is leaked, how much that y'all make George Floyd the evil one, as opposed to making Derek Chauvin and those other officers the evil. So New York said they're going to become the first city nationwide to end the qualified immunity for police officers. Qualified immunity for police officers. What are you talking about, Doc? What that basically says is not only can you sue the state of New York when a cop violates you, you can now sue also that cop. And maybe these kind of situations where police abuse will lower when a person thinks about they might have to lose their funds, they might have to sell their house, they might have to sell their car, they might have to liquidate their child's college fund. See, before it was always the state taking the financial burden. Now, when the police officers themselves have to take the financial burden, I think that will stop you from putting your boot at maybe somebody's chin. But we shall see going forward. They finally removed all that freaking razor wire in front of the U.S. Capitol. It's been up there for 2 months since the riots. Now, it's always been a shame that our capital had to be surrounded by this damn razor wire. As though we don't have a National Guard, we don't have police, we don't have the FBI, we don't have the Secret Service who can come in, kick ass, straighten shit out, get people in order, and get them the fuck out of there. But we act like a bunch of bitches. We had to put this wire up as though this building is like you watching a baby and this child, there's things that you put on the stairs so the child don't fall down the stairs. Instead of saying, you know what, you go to those stairs, I'm gonna tap you on your little butt. So that's what time it is. We have to stop treating insurrectionists as though they are babies. We need to put the foot in their ass as though they are grown people. And maybe this is Biden and them's way of saying, you know what, come near us and see what happens to you. I've been watching some very good TV this week. I watched The Good Doctor. The Leah and Sean baby thing is an interesting story, and I like where it's going. And then not only that, Sean also had come to realize that another doctor that he was dealing with also suffers from a form of autism. So that was nice how they treaded both of those lines. I've been getting into South Park lately. I say, oh boy, it's an old show. Why would you get back? After they had the pandemic and vaccine episodes, I said, let me give it a try again. So I watched Cartman Hall Monitor, which is hilarious. If you have never seen that, Cartman Hall Monitors, Butter's Bottom Bitch, and the Black Friday episode, and also the Biggest Crap episode. If you can't groove with any of those, then you shouldn't groove with South Park because I just gave you some of the best. I'm going to repeat those again. Butter's Bottom Bitch, the Black Friday, the Biggest Crap, and Cartman Hall Monitor. Outstanding. I finished and watched the Alan V. Farrell documentary. I thought it was an outstanding documentary. It let you know the sickness of a person like Woody Allen, at least as he's accused. It also lets you know the sickness of Hollywood, how they back their own no matter what the situation is. It's quite disturbing. I thought that it was maybe a half a episode too long. It was 4 episodes, but three and a half of it was outstanding. The last half of the final episode, we could have cut that out to tell you the truth. I also watched Aretha, all 8 episodes of Aretha. I don't care what the critics say. I enjoyed it. I thought the acting was spectacular. I thought the singing was great. I think that the story of Aretha is a very sad story. I believe it's a super sad story, what was going on in her life and how she had to live. And these are things that we did not know about, or at least I did not know about. I didn't watch because of the Aretha Franklin. They kept mentioning this place called Muscle Shoals in Alabama, which was a studio, famed studio. So I watched the documentary on Muscle Shoals. That was outstanding. To see that these corny looking white guys helped produce, direct, and play on some of the best sounding R&B music, legendary tracks that we all know. It's interesting to see these backstories, and that's why I guess I love documentaries so much. I watched a movie also called Boogie about an Asian basketball player from Flushing, Queens. We don't usually see any stories about Asians in basketball, but he had a helicopter mother and a loving father, so it was a good story. I enjoyed it. I say check it out if you got nothing else to do. Saturday Night Live was very good this week. Maya Rudolph came in there. She knocked it out the park. It was an outstanding show. So Saturday Night Live, after 4 weeks of absence, came back with a bang. I also watched the documentary on HBO Max. I like to thank HBO Max. I think HBO Max is kicking ass by putting stuff out there. They're letting you know that it's not just Amazon that can do this. It's not just Netflix that can produce shows, but HBO is not going anywhere yet. And so I watched Tina. The story of Tina, just like the story of Aretha Franklin, was quite disturbing. I mean, she reiterated that what we seen and what love got to do with it is as true as it gets, and I am tending to believe her. I think that I mean, it was heartbreaking. Some of the things that Tina went through, some of the things that Tina still deals with, how Tina feels, how she's so unhappy, and we would think that she would have so much happiness, but she still doesn't. So I recommend Tina. I watched, I also would like you to know that there are a couple of things that are coming out this week that maybe you should get a chance. You should check them out. PBS is doing the American Experience, The Blinding of Isaac Woodard. Isaac Woodard was a black man who came back from World War II, and he came through North Carolina, and the cops beat him to the point that they blinded him. So this is going to be a on PBS, and that's Tuesday, March 30th at 9 p.m. The Mahalia Jackson story comes out Saturday, April 3rd. That is starring Danielle Brooks, who was on Orange is the New Black, and I can't wait to see that. And Godzilla versus Kong comes out on HBO Max on the 31st, which is going to be Wednesday. I am Team Godzilla, have always been Team Godzilla. And I understand that we already know that Kong's probably going to win, but I'm there for the fight. I'm there for the graphics. I'm there for how this is developed from shitty looking programming way back in the 60s when I was watching it to fantastic CGI today. But I mean, I can't get enough Godzilla. I'm a big fan of Godzilla. I've always been and always will be. He's never been the villain to me, even when he's crushing towns with people. I just been on Team Godzilla since I can remember. I used to have a movie projector in my house when I was a little kid. Well, actually in my room. And I used to have those real movies, and I would take these real movies, and I had everything that you could name that they would sell, like Abbott and Costello, and Werewolf, and Swamp Monster. But I also would get these Godzillas, and I would play them back and forth. And so I grew to love Godzilla. I even had a 6 foot replica at one time when I was a bachelor of a Godzilla in my home. So if you came in my house, Godzilla would be one of the first things that you would actually see when you entered the door. He would have his Yankee hat on. Big. I brought it at the store we used to have in New York called Big. Anything that you have normal size, they sold big there. Like a pencil would be 3 foot tall. They would have notepads that were 2 feet long. Things of that nature. So they had this big Godzilla, and I brought him. And like an idiot, one time a woman and a kid came over my house, and this kid fell in love with Godzilla, and I let him walk out my door with Godzilla. And I was never able to, because I was thinking that maybe I can get something like this again, but I was never able to find it, and they didn't have any more. So the Assistant Health Secretary for the United States of America is a Rachel Levine, and she's the first openly transgender person to be ratified by the cabinet and the Senate to hold this position. So congratulations to Rachel Levine. I mean, it's hard enough, but to be transgender, I guess. But to reach heights that she probably didn't even dream of, I say congratulations to her. Now, real brief, Billy Horschel won the WGC Dell Match Play golf tournament. I watched a lot of that. As you know already, if you listen to me, you know that I'm a golf nut. I'm waiting for the Masters, and that's going to be like 2 weeks from now. But I'm all there for it. So I watch as much golf as I can because I try to also pick up things, see how pros do certain things, how they handle certain distances and shots. Not that I have any skills like that, but you learn from the best. You might as well, if you're watching the best, you might as well learn something from the best that you see do things, right? So we're entering the Elite Eight. And tonight, we got Oregon State is going up against Houston. Arkansas is playing number one Baylor. Tomorrow we got USC versus number one Gonzaga and UCLA versus number one Michigan. And then they're going to play the Final Four on Saturday with the championship being decided on 4-5, which is next Monday. I still think that Gonzaga is going to win this tournament. I think that it'll probably be Gonzaga is going to beat Michigan in the elite in the Final Four, and more than likely they might go on to play Baylor for the championship. The UFC had a pay-per-view this weekend. Stipe Miocic at the time was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he was taking on Francis Ngannou. Ngannou, this was their second time fighting. Miocic beat him. He out wrestled him the first time. This time Ngannou seemed to be so relaxed, so mellow, and a dude that big and that strong and that muscular being relaxed was crazy. It was a crazy thing to watch. He didn't rush himself. He caught Stipe and folded him like a cheap suit. I mean, it was ugly, man. I'm hoping that Stipe's ankle, knee, and leg is fine. Not his head, his ankle, knee, and leg, because everything folded under the weight of that one leg, and it was ugly. So congratulations to Francis Ngannou, and I'm hoping that he can hold on to this for a while and it's not a flash thing. Tyron Woodley had a very good fight. It seems like he might be done. This is his fourth loss in the UFC in a row. I would like to see him just go behind the booth to, announcing and leave it at that. He was aggressive, which I will give him credit for. He's not usually very aggressive because he's a wrestler, but he was very aggressive this fight and he was swinging for the fences. But I think that his better days are over. And I don't want to see him end his career in Bellator or some third-rate fighting organization just because he feels he has a point to prove. The man held that title for as long as almost anybody, so he has a legacy. He should appreciate the legacy that he has and just move on. Sean O'Malley looked good. Sean O'Malley is very slick, man. His boxing, as a former boxer, I love the slickness of how he goes from orthodox to unorthodox, how he does little shoulder shakes, how he even looks off his opponent. Shane O'Malley is a beautiful thing to watch, and I appreciate him. And he's so long, man. He's so long that he can keep that leg out there and keep distance. He has an advantage that I never had in my life because I'm a shorter person. He knows how to use distance. I wish I would have known how to use distance. I had to figure out distance so that I could be effective because I could not create distance. He's long, he creates. Me, I had to combat distance. Alonzo Middlefield did a Von Fluke choke, which is a very rare thing in the UFC to do, and he finished his opponent. Jillian Robinson actually lost. She's an outstanding wrestler, but this young lady Maverick, it was a good fight. It was a very good fight. It was entertaining. You're never going to get blood and guts with Jillian because she's such a good wrestler that she doesn't allow it to just go haywire, but it was a good steady pace. It wasn't boring. I thought it was a very good card. Karma Worthy got knocked out. I think Karma Worthy at his age, he's around 34, 35 years old. I think that he's approaching the end of his career. It didn't develop into what it was supposed to be for him, but it be like that sometimes. You just have some people who are good fillers on good cards who can perform some nights outstandingly, but they're never going to be that championship material, but it doesn't make them a bum. So if it's the last time we've seen Kama Worthy in the UFC, I'm going to say I appreciate the talent that you had. I appreciate watching your fights. And I wish you nothing but the best in your future going on. So Lamarcus Aldridge, who has been nothing but a shithole for my San Antonio Spurs, falls into the lap of the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are loaded, people. You got off the bench, you got Blake Griffin, you got Lamarcus Aldridge, you got KD, you got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan. That team does not win the championship, it's going to be a big disappointment. So go Brooklyn. I mean, it's not my team, and I'm not going to be fraudulent all of a sudden pick them. I'm a Spurs fan, and I got to stay true to what I am. I'm a loyal person, and my loyalty does not mean that I flip sides because things look better on the other side of the street. But the Nets do look good. The Rockets finally broke their 20-game losing streak. This thing started February 6th and didn't end to 322. They beat the Toronto Raptors. I mean, I didn't even know things had gotten that bad in Houston. When Harding left them, they fell apart. Think about that 20-game losing streak. That's not an easy thing to do. So tonight in the NBA, we got the Pelicans versus the Celtics. Anybody want to see Zion? There's your opportunity. The Heat are playing the Knicks. The Knicks are a much improved team this year. They are a playoff team, so they play tonight. And the Bucks play the Lakers. We already know there's no LeBron, there's no AD, but you do get a chance to see Giannis. Tomorrow we got the 76ers versus the Nuggets. Still minus Embiid, but the Nuggets are good and worth watching. Wednesday we got the Mavs and the Celtics, and the Bucks versus the Lakers again. Thursday we got the Warriors versus the Heat. We also have the Nuggets versus the Clippers. Friday we got the Bucks versus the Trailblazers. This is a heavy week for Bucks being in good games. Sunday we got the Lakers versus the Clippers. Clippers should win that game. The advantages to the Clippers, they picked up Rondo. LA is struggling. I mean, they did win last night, but they have, like I said, how good can you actually do against the upper echelon teams when you have no AD and you have no LeBron James and you really don't have a third weapon? So that's just the way that goes. Now, like I said, man, am a I am a pro gun guy. And I understand that they're trying to do bans on assault weapons and also come up with situations where there should be longer screening periods. But if you're legal, you have nothing to worry about. You should have nothing to worry about. You should be able to pass a background check to get a firearm. I don't think that the right to bear arms will ever go away in this country. This country is kind of built on it. But we do have to start screening these people who are having mental issues. And families have got to step in. If you know that you have an angry young man in your home who posts ridiculous shit, who spouts crazy shit at the table, and he's now going out to buy a gun. Think about what is going on in your own household. Think about who this person is and who he might bring damage to, who he might bring harm to, what it does to your family legacy. When your child goes out and murders children, it falls on the family too. There's a shame. There should be a shame. We have got to start shaming this. These mass shootings must stop in America. They must stop in the world. White men need to get a grip. Get a grip, white man. Everything you're going through, everybody else is going through. The pandemic is not a white pandemic. Poverty is not a white thing. Loneliness is not a white thing. PTSD is not a white thing. Having less than you want is not a white thing. Not getting your way is not a white thing. It's a people thing. This is what everybody deals with. And if you don't feel so privileged, you won't feel like it's always me, because always me is a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. We get, for the most part, what we deserve in this world. We get what we deserve. We get what we put down, what we study, what we train for. We don't get just miracles for the most part. I'm going to thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I'm going to take a week off just to regroup, get myself together. I don't like talking about these subjects every week. So, to give myself a break, I'll see you guys back like around the 7th of February, the 10th of February, something like that. I mean, April, February, April. And I wish you nothing but peace. And I wish nothing to yours but peace.